You're listening to She's the Business podcast.
Have you ever heard the saying, leap and the net will appear? Well, today you can hear the story of one amazing female entrepreneur who has taken a leap of faith, not once, but twice in recent years, and has ended up with a business that she would have never even thought possible or dreamed that she could even do if we went back to just 5 years ago. An amazing story. Stay tuned. It's coming right up.
Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and over the last 25 years in marketing and business, I've helped many brands to launch, scale, and grow, with some of them becoming multi-billion-dollar companies. I'm here to inspire you to get out of your own way and create a profitable, fulfilling business while living the lifestyle you really desire, without all the hustle. So I bring you She's the Business podcast, a unique blend of strategies, tactics, mindset, health, and spirituality, literally everything you need to be the successful leader of your dream business. Made by women for women, this is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration.
My very special guest today is Jasmine Sotiropoulos, who is the founder of Reworded, an Australian Melbourne-based branding and graphic design agency. She specifically works with women, female entrepreneurs who are starting their business or have started their business and really want to get something bold and amazing for their brand design that really speaks to their audience. Jasmine is here today to share with us her story because she came from a normal business job, had a push or a nudge to start women's circles, and from there has developed this business, utilizing all the time her skills in graphic design and branding that she has been doing for 14 years. So absolutely not a novice at it. But how did she make that transition and transition twice? She's almost had two businesses over the last couple of years, and this beautiful transition through them at these pivotal points that steered her in the next direction and has led her to where she is today. So she's diving into her story, all of the things around it, her biggest lessons and insights, and just some inspiration for anybody else who could be in a similar position, just to show you what is actually possible. So without further ado, let me play this interview for you. So welcome to today's episode, and I'm here with the beautiful Jasmine Sotiropoulos, who is the founder of Reworded. Jasmine, I hope I nailed it when I pronounced your last name then.
Absolutely. You did superbly.
I was like, I'm going for gold. I'm going to say this name. It's a beautiful name, Greek in origin. Yes. Mm-hmm. And you're based here in Australia.
Yes, I sure am.
Yeah, that's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about you, your business, who it is that you serve in your business right now? What is Reworded all about? Yeah.
So Reworded, I do things like branding, web design, logo design, all the fun stuff, essentially the creative stuff that people need for their businesses when they're starting a business. And my main clientele and my main aim, I guess, is women in business, specifically small to medium businesses, because I like to get my hands really dirty and really in there and almost feel like it becomes my own business. But yeah, that's what I do.
Amazing. And when I was having a look on your website earlier, I noticed quite a few kind of product-based brands. Do you specialize more in the product arena as opposed to services?
Oh, I don't actually know if I've ever noticed that myself, so this is new information. But no, service-based businesses, product-based businesses, I do things like packaging and all the graphic design there. But I actually have a lot of beauty clients, hairdressers, things like that, because a lot of women do get into that sort of field. So it just makes sense for me to, be with them along for the ride.
Yeah, of course. Now, this wasn't what you always did, episode, was it?
No.
So we're going to have a lovely chat about your story today. I can't wait to kind of dive in, because I think we all love hearing someone else's story and the journey and the things that you've done that's got you to where you are today. But, some of those, the lessons and the things along the way that, we can gain for ourselves, that learning, which I always find so powerful. So can you take us back? What was it that you did before
Yeah, sure. Before, long ago.
Yes. Take us back.
So, okay, I've got to, I guess, start with the fact that I was kind of programmed and raised not to believe in myself. I didn't have the best of upbringings, and that's the honest truth, but it's something that led me to be in that 9 to 5 and kind of have that mentality, I guess, of lack mentality, that lack mindset where nothing's ever enough and I'm never going to make enough money and I'm going to struggle my whole life. And that was my life for the longest bit. Then about 3 years ago, I got to a very low point, I guess, in my life. And I'm a spiritual sister, I guess, if you want to call it that. So I kind of went through that dark night of the soul. Now, when I went through that stage, I ended up getting really desperate and saying, kind of putting it out in the universe and going, okay, I'm done. I'm done with this 9 to 5. I'm done with like constant grind. And I kind of begged my guides to just show me what I needed to do and I'll do it. That's it. No questions asked. So I went to sleep one night and kind of a vision appeared of me walking into a women's circle and facilitating a women's circle. Now I kind of went, hold on, not me at all. I always considered myself an introvert. I considered myself not a gal's gal, like girls don't like me, that sort of mentality, right? And so I struggled for the longest time with that, but I told them I'm going to do it anyway. You know what? You told me to do this. I'm going to do it. So this was during COVID, mind you. So it was hard times. And I'm like, how do you want me to do this? Anyway, so I put it out there. I started listing on Eventbrite and I just collected, people's interests for the time being. And I got into it. And my first session came and I was a nervous wreck. I was just like, what am I doing here? How me? And then it happened. And what I slowly began to realize is, one, I am a woman's woman. I absolutely love and adore women. And it just seemed that the circumstances I was putting myself in was meeting a lot of people that were quite guarded in that sense, like the industries that I was in and all that, right? So then I got into the women's circle business, started kind of climbing up from there, doing different types of events, collaborating with other creators, all the rest of it. And that slowly led me to really understand my purpose, which was to specifically help women get off the ground. And when you realize so many of us have so many different walks of life, but so many similarities, it's just mind blowing. We feel so alone for so long. And then as soon as that opens up, you realize, hey, I can too. If that person can, I'm able to do this. So essentially I went, okay, again, dip my feet in and go, I'm going to start doing this. Is anyone interested? Is anyone thinking of doing a new business? And so again, I started that way. And in the first month, mind you, I've had over 14 years of experience in this, but I never actually applied it in anything because again, I didn't believe in myself. So I ended up starting this, and within the first month I made 10K, and I was like, what do you mean? Why? How? And and then from that, here I am today. That's my story, from, I guess, someone who didn't believe in themselves to someone who's being constantly told how good I am, which is something that we all need to hear, I think. So
yeah, absolutely. Wow. So when you were in corporate, you were working in design. You were a designer, and
so when I was working in corporate, no, I wasn't doing any design other than for the companies that I was in. Yes. Right. So
an in-house designer.
But it wasn't even. I was never hired qualified as a designer. It was always like, oh, she knows what she's doing. And so I was like, oh, yeah, I guess. And then I would make their website, do their marketing, all the stuff that I technically am trained in because I did schooling in photography and all that stuff. So yeah, I applied that just in the background, but didn't have the confidence to go, yeah, actually, this is what I do. So yeah.
Oh, amazing. Wow. And so you did like a complete flip into a totally different space running events and women's circles. I was thinking, how did you even manage that during COVID? I know that you're in Melbourne and that was like, maybe I've heard it say the most lockdown place in the entire world during COVID, as in do not dare leave your house or your
Absolutely.
for such a long time. So how did you even make that happen? And what kind of things are these women's circles? Because I'm intrigued about, what that was and how you even just
So have you been to a women's circle yourself?
No.
Oh, you so should. You so absolutely should. It's amazing. So, all right. So I put the feelers out there in, those Facebook groups. That's like your local Facebook groups, right?
Yeah.
And I said, would anyone be interested? Yada, yada. Now, at the time, if I had done it at a yoga studio or something like that, then they were requesting like the vaccine certificates and everything like that, right? And then when it came time to actually do my first one, we went straight back into lockdown. So that was cancelled. And my whole thing was, oh my God, like, when you leave a bad taste in someone's mouth and they're just never going to come back to you, that's what I thought was going to happen. But again, it was just very much reinforced that when you say women's circle, it automatically draws in the right people and people who are so much more understanding, and everyone kept their tickets. We just moved the date and everyone was happy to do so. So that was just a little like, don't get down about the situation. So as soon as we were able to go actually like see people and all the rest of it again, that's when I held it. And that was my first one. But I had done all this work over the last few months thinking that it was going to be a lot sooner. But it built my community. So technically it wasn't great, but it actually turned out better than I had hoped. So it actually as well, I guess. I was just going to say in the sense that people needed community. And I think that's what also pushed it as well. So when they heard that this was going to be a community building thing, then they were more attracted to it right after all our crazy lockdown.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone was really thirsty for some face-to-face connection and actually getting out and seeing real people. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's so true. And then you kind of have done another, real pivot, but almost back to what you had been doing, but at a totally different level, because now you started your own business and you decided, well, I've been doing this for so long anyway. I just never really claimed or owned that, we'll call it your authority in that place, in that way that this is what I do, and started an agency, a branding agency. Yeah, quite a turn of events. But again, the fact that it worked so well together, hand in hand with, like, you wouldn't think a women's circle and a branding agency would work well together. But when you're a woman that is here to empower other women, it actually falls right into place. And it's, I even have a little, I shouldn't call it little, again, I've got this habit of kind of talking myself down, but I've got this big and exciting course that it's not really a course, but it's a challenge essentially that I get women to sign up to, which kind of places different options in front of you so that you can kind of like a journaling exercise. So you can kind of break down exactly what it is that you're good at, but also just because you're good at something doesn't mean you should do it, but something that you enjoy doing on repeat and can have those behaviors and create like a business plan around it. So it's all kind of meshed into one. Yes, I completely agree with that. I think so often there's a business idea or, like, wow, there could be a need for this in the market, or I see people that need this. And I'm speaking from experience myself, because my first business, I did exactly that. I was very analytical and logical about it and decided to start a business where I knew there was a market and potential for it. Did it, and it just was not my passion. It wasn't what I wanted to do. I wasn't like going to bed at night thinking about it in a good way, like probably more thinking about what I need to do. But what a difference it is when you decide there's something that is actually what you love and you live and breathe it, and you're standing in the shower and, you're thinking about, writing blog posts in your head for all these stuff that you just got things to say and so much passion for it.
Yeah.
There's a total difference in that, isn't there?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just the balance. Because of my background and what I've been doing and how I've been working, it's very much the balance of the feminine and the masculine. The masculine's all focused and focus driven, and we're like, okay, cool, I want that money and this would be a good idea. But then bringing in the feminine to increase that flow, and balance is all we ever want. And as soon as we have that balance, that's really what works in our favor, and you could just easily flow through it because it's exactly what you were meant to do the whole time. You know?
Exactly. And I think that, something I see a lot of women struggle with, and you probably would have something to say about that as well with the experience in these women's groups, but it's like they kind of know what they're good at, they know what they want to do, but then they start to question themselves like, oh, but is that really going to be the most successful? Like, people ask me, well, what's going to be the most profitable niche for me to be in? And I'm like, oh, we're starting to approach this from a totally different point and perspective. Like, when you consider every niche is profitable and you can be profitable in any niche you choose, you have to choose it not based on the niche, but based on yourself. Like, stop trying to go external and think your way through this. Actually come internal and know what it is, and I know it's hard, and especially people like you and I who have worked in marketing often have so many skills. When I look at the time that I spent in corporate, I did everything, like literally from events, sales, PR. I did some design. I built websites. I coded in Dreamweaver back in the day. I don't know if anyone even remembers that. I created websites in Dreamweaver. I did copywriting, email marketing, advertising, like everything, absolute everything. And even sales at one point. I had a sales job. And then, rising to be the head of department is fine. Like, I literally had done everything that I was managing. And then you start your own business. You're like, okay, so what do I do? Which of these things? There's literally like a list of 20 different things that you could do on their own as a business. And that, I think, was almost the most overwhelming thing. And, so when someone's faced with that, then, like, I'm multi-passionate and I've got all these skills and I've got experience and I have expertise in all of these different areas. What's your take on that? Like, how do you help steer them to the right place?
Okay. So there's a few things that go into this. So where do I get started? One is, I guess, as someone like me who is neurodivergent, I've got ADHD, right? So I'm complete culprit of having so many different things going on at the same time, right? But if you take a step back and really think about when you're working 9 to 5 versus when you're working for yourself, you actually have to be all that and then some for your own business. Mm-hmm. So you're like, okay, I've got so many passions. You're likely going to need and use those passions all in the one business regardless, right? Mm-hmm. So how do we turn that into profit, and what is our big sales point? And I think a lot of that has to do with coming from a heart space instead of a mind space, right? Mm-hmm. So again, like I said, that the little challenge that I was talking about that I've created, right, is exactly to get to that core, right? And mind you, it's free. It's not this thing that I'm selling or upselling after. I literally just want women to fully understand what it is that motivates them to keep doing it on repeat and earn income, right? And so when a person is trying to figure out that one thing, I say, well, you're looking at it too narrowly. Like, it's never going to be the one thing. You're about to step into multiple hats, and that's okay. And you just have to strip away what you can offer. That's a different question. What is it that you can offer someone else? What is it that you're so good at that you can actually say, hey, I'm the mastermind of this. Let me for you, right? And so for example, with branding, right, I always like to ask a brand, okay, you're selling vases right now, and that's your thing. Do you have any plans of potentially growing from that? Like, is it going to always just be vases? And that comes into branding in the sense that, well, you don't want want to name yourself the vase guru. You're limiting yourself. So having also something from the very beginnings, early beginnings, that kind of can be an umbrella statement for all the things you do and then drip feed from that is a good way to look at it. But another thing, I guess, one of the points you hit, I'm trying to think back now because there's so much going on in my brain, but essentially something that we do in a woman's circle is that we believe that every woman has it in them. Like the answer is inside of you. So I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, I know exactly what you should do. It's number one, not my business. Right? It's just flat out not my business.
It is not your business. It's theirs.
Yeah, literally, right? But number two, it's like the self-doubt and the self-critical and the all these voices that live inside of us. That's why we need to be guided through that journey so that you can find out what it is that you want to do. And honestly, a woman's circle does that. It does it, yes, on a more personal level, but even from the very start of my circles, I had this thing where at the end of my circle, the way we would close it off is that if any woman had their own business, they would go around and spruik themselves, right? And it's something that isn't usually done, but it's again one of the things where we can like put our money where our mouth is and actually go, hey, what is it that you do? Tell me more about that, And then it grew into now pretend that you have a business and speak as if you do, if you don't, right? Just so that the people who don't have their own business, they can still participate. And what that led to was, again, a journal exercise that you could do literally at home. Anyone listening to this can literally do this, where they speak as if it's already happening. Write it out, actually journal about it, and go through all the things that you're doing in the space. Look back at it in a week from then and see how you're feeling. Is that still what you want to do? Has it evolved into something else, or has it just like niched down even more? And that's getting into that practice can really help kind of take it out from here, all these things, and actually make it physical and real. And I think that could really help.
Yeah.
That was a very long-winded answer, so I apologize.
No, I love it. No, exactly. I'm always interested to hear because I work with a lot of, people who are multi-talented, very, and have so many skills. And it's so interesting because, like you say, it's not necessarily about one thing, but you do need to have a specific niche if you're going to, if people are really going to understand and be able to connect your name and what you do with something that they get. Because when it's too broad and vague, they're like, oh, what is it again? And it's like this big long list of stuff. Like no one's going to remember your list. They're going to remember a thing. And it doesn't have to be that you're picking one thing out of your list. Like what I'd love to kind of open people's minds up to is like, what if it's like, what does the combination of those things mean? Like, could we make a thing out of many things? Because that could be the essence of you that's actually so unique and so amazing, and really you're leveraging everything that you have to offer, but it is a thing still. So then you become known as this thing instead of known as this jack of all trades with all these different things going on. And it's so interesting because one of the things that I, love to ask people to do, which is so similar to journaling and then looking back on it in a week and like seeing how you feel about it, is sort of writing it down and then asking yourself a question like, okay, which one of these do I love the most? And then looking at them and just seeing which one jumps out at you straight away before your head has started to think about it logically, which one speaks to you, because that's your heart speaking. And it's like, if you can do it and you get an answer, your logical brain will immediately click in and start to tell you all the reasons why that one won't be the best. And this one's going to be more profitable because I see people charging X amount here and blah, 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 blah. Like, stop and tune in, because like you say, you already know the answer, and it's like we're stopping the answer from coming out because we're literally crowding it out with all of this other information that is in your head. But yeah, writing that out, I love that journaling exercise. I think
what you just mentioned as well sounds like a business tarot deck, and I feel like something like that needs to happen. You know what I mean? Like having like all
pull a card,
seeing what like pops out. But I think
it's so simple. I mean, there's ways that you can trick your brain into turning off the logical piece, and so you can actually dive into what is at the heart. Because I think, like you said so beautifully and demonstrated, even you followed this inspiration, this download that you had to start a women's circle. It was totally different to anything you'd done before.
like that would be really, really scary and confronting for so many people. Like, tell me.
For me too, it was absolutely, it was absolutely.
Yeah. So what are the biggest lessons or learnings that you have now in hindsight, looking back on that moment and your decision?
Okay. The biggest thing is the separation of what you actually are, what I actually was, versus what I was told I was. That is absolutely the hugest thing, because so much of what we pick up, like that negative self-talk, is actually not us. The way I like to see it is our inner child. You know the term inner child, right?
Yeah.
Our inner child has no fear, has no qualms with us trying everything and anything. We have this like wonder about life, and we're just excited to just try. And we lose that because time and time again, someone out there or some people, a group of people, whoever it was, society, even looking on your phone or everything all piles on and closes you off and closes that inner child off. And that's my biggest learning, is that my inner child can do anything. Unbreakable. The perseverance is insane, excited about everything. And if I don't feel like that, then it's not my true voice. It's what everyone else has told me. And that's when that started to drip off. I was like, wow, I can love myself again. I'm so much better than I ever thought I was. And that I'm getting emotional because it's like, it's really exciting to love yourself again. It's really exciting to believe that you can do things. Like, yeah, just talking to you today is something I never thought I could ever do. And I'm loving it. And that's the biggest lesson. That's huge.
Yeah, that is amazing, isn't it? Just that feeling of now you can look back and see that you took that chance, you took that step to do something, and like you've turned up here today and we're having this conversation that you might have been telling yourself, I'm no good at speaking, I could never be that sort of person who could go out there and talk. But then, well, who says what sort of person you are? Like, where did that even come from?
Yeah, naysayers, that's all it is. It's everyone else projecting their insecurities onto you. And we're in a constant battle of that, and just going back to our core selves and just making friends with that inner child again, and starting to, whether it's I do a lot of meditations where I just go and visit my inner child and talk to them and ask them for advice, because kids are wordy and they'll tell you the truth. They're not going to sugarcoat it. And so having little exercises like that has really changed me in that sense. And then seeing, of course, the little rewards that have come along the way, and then other people going, hey, I love the way you said this or talked about this. And I'm like, I've never heard these things ever in my life. This, I guess appreciation and love from other people, at least not in this way in a professional environment. And I just think that the only reason I never did before is because I never believed I could. So it always comes back to the self, and I never opened myself up for that kind of what we think is going to be hurt. But it ends up surprising you. Yeah.
Wow. That's it's very profound, isn't it? Because you think, just in what you said, it's actually not about the other people. It's so easy to blame, these people who I was around and they were just, so negative and everything. But, you've just said, well, I've never opened myself up for receiving that kind of information before. So
absolutely,
that kind of takes it completely back to yourself. And which the beautiful thing is, we have the power to change that. You can decide to change it, can't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, and there was sort of a question before that, and I've forgotten what it was because that conversation has been so great. But your ultimate version of success, what would that be if we're looking now forwards to maybe inner child Jasmine, future Jasmine? What is this looking like for you right now if you're writing your story?
Okay, there's a few things that kind of come up in my mind. Okay, I'm going to say it like this. Working with as many women as I've worked with up till now, something that I'm realizing is kind of like a trend that keeps happening is I'll make my point, I promise.
That's okay.
What seems to happen is for the last, let's say, 40, 50 years, us as women have been fighting like this long journey to get that equality in the professional work setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm seeing, like the slow tide turn of women going, we are all getting there, almost getting there, but wait a minute, why don't we just veer off and create our own version of success? And it's really happening. Like a lot of women went from, I want to become the CEO of a Fortune 500 company to, why don't I start my own Fortune 500 company? And that opportunity that's there right now to do things like that is amazing. And that's my version of success, making my own success and my own version, and specifically my own version. It might kind of shock you, maybe not, knowing that I am the person that I am, but I want a house paid off, and I want to grow my own veggies, and I want to be able to travel the world, but not in an extreme budget. So I really don't think I ask for much. My version of success is essentially a roof over my house and freedom. Is to actually, not keep going up, but steady it out and just have this beautiful, like steady, good for your soul and nourishing, life. And that's what I want. Ideally in Spain, that's the dream. But yes, so
that's part of traveling, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, that's so true. And like, it makes me think exactly that. I was in the corporate world as well, and climbing that ladder, and I got right up to the executive team, and as you think, the steps are the CEO, and then I had that moment. It actually took me to have my first baby at that time, and to just look at it and go, is that really what I want in life? Like, this guy does not see his family. He is married to his job. He's at work the whole time. Pretty sure the marriage is not working out too well. The kids never see him. And he's traveling for work, but that's not fun. Like, I want to go, safari in Africa. I had a few months doing that, at some point with no job on my way back from London. I'm like, I was completely free, right? Free of everything. I had nothing, no house, no job, nothing. And it was fine. And it was beautiful. And I had an amazing time, came back and got all those things again. It's like, why can't we be able to do that? And so exactly what you said, my version of success became not what society's told me that you climb up for, but it was like, no, I actually wanted to create a business on my own terms and have a life where I'm living my best life. And I'm not sometime when I'm retired and I've made all the money and then I have it. So why can't I just have it now? Like, of course I can. If that's what I decide, like, I can do that now. Yeah. And like you said, it doesn't have to be big and grand. It just has to be what's going to make you feel alive and beautiful every day. And it can grow and evolve in time, can't it? But I love that you said it's not like it's got to be some big grand vision. It's a beautiful house. It's the ability to travel and be free and to just grow your own veggies, of course. Like, whatever that is. Like, for me, it was always traveling as well. I love traveling and I want my kids to be able to travel. So, my vision now as a mum would be that we're going on, overseas trips. We're taking time to go camping and go bush and like explore, but we're, there's no stress about it. You're never asking for annual leave. You're never worried about what's going to happen. And, sort of that moment of thinking, wow, one of the most exciting times when, traveling and not having a job, not having a home. And it was just incredible. Like, there's nothing more freeing than that feeling.
Do you feel like, I don't know if if it resonates, I guess, with you, but do you feel like sometimes all we ever wanted was the freedom, and once we had that freedom, we actually want and enjoy working? Like, do you ever feel like that? Like, you worked so hard to get out of that, thing, but now that you're in it, you're like, oh, I actually like to spend more time on it. And then,
well, it's a totally different feeling, isn't it? Because it's your business now, and I work because I choose to, and I work as much as I choose to. Like, I could choose to work a lot less, but I choose to work the amount I work. But it's, and it's always that thing around balance. And balance meaning, what is the right balance for you? Like, there's not just two things. It's not there's work and life. There's work and your business. Then there's all the different aspects of life. Like, how much do you want to give to your kids? How much do you want to give to exercise, your health, your social life, like all the things that are important to you, including sleep. Let's not forget sleep. Like, how much time do you want to give to sleep? Like, that all needs to be built in. And there is no such thing as a single work-life balance. There's no such thing as the right, one best way, you should have a 4-hour work week or you should have a 20-hour work week. It's like everybody's going to have a totally different feeling of what the right amount for them is and what gives them fulfillment. Because it's like, what is success really? It's like that feeling of balance, it's fulfillment, and it's that personal feeling of achievement, I think, is success as well.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, it's all like there's so many elements to it. I think what I was seeking for such a long time was the sense of getting that control back and, having, as much as we say, you just want control, like that's what you're seeking, but it's true. And it's kind of ingrained in us, like, what is better than having a control on your autonomy instead of, having to go to work at a certain time. And I think once you get that, you go, oh, okay, this thing that I fought so hard for, it's right here staring me face. What am I going to do with it? Like, and it just opens up all these other avenues that you can take. And it's just exciting. I don't know. I just wish every single woman in the world, I mean, it'd be great for everyone in the world, but women specifically, because they're my favorite. But, I just wish everyone can come to that, like, just have that faith, like have that really like understanding that, yeah, I'm not saying it's easy, but once you get there, you look back, and it's taken me 2 years to be completely financially independent. 2 years is nothing. It goes by in such a short time. It's a literal blink, and it's just I just wish that everyone could see it for that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that conversations like this help to make it seem like, well, actually, maybe it is possible. Maybe all I've got to do is decide that I want something else. And once you decide it, then it can happen, and I'm a big believer in deciding on something without worrying about how. Don't worry about that, because it'll just figure itself out. Like, you can do it and you can make anything happen if you want to. You just have to decide that that's what it is.
Yeah. I think a lot of the motivational kind of people that, you see on TikTok ads and things like that have this way of selling it, like, leave your 9 to 5, get out of it, go straight into, buy a business. And I think that kind of scares people off. And I see it come up a lot in conversation, a lot of videos. But a lot of people kind of come to me and go, okay, but I can't afford to leave my 9 to 5. I'm like, no one's asked you to. Well, actually, yeah, people have asked them to. A lot of people put that belief in them that they, in order to start something, you've got to completely put all 100% of yourself in. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Starting that little thing and growing it and watering it, it was a year in that I was finally able to go part-time. And mind you, I say finally able to, but when the time came, I was pouring my eyes out, being so scared that I was like, oh my God, what if they don't want me to go part-time? What if they hate me? What if they, all that stuff. And I went down to part-time, and then 6 months on, I was too busy. I had to leave my job. And so it happens a lot quicker than you think, but don't count on it or don't think about that, because it makes it a big cloud of scary stuff. And
so true. You're putting all that pressure on yourself, and then what if it doesn't happen in the time that you said? Then does it mean that you failed? Like, what if it happens the next month or the one after that? Like, no, you haven't failed. I totally agree. I love that. I think it's just decide it, see what happens, and you'll know when's the right time to take that action. Because like you said, you went down to part-time because you needed to, and then you got so busy that you actually were like, okay, I need to quit because I can't do it. Well, that just happened because you got to that point and you're like, now I'm going to quit. And it wouldn't have been, you knew that it was the right time because it clearly was, right? You didn't have to kind of take any random gamble on it. What's one piece of advice that you would give to your past self if you could go back in time and give it to them?
I am sorry for everything you've been taught to believe or told to believe. You are so much more than their words, and no one is going to be able to make you believe in yourself, and the belief is going to come after the fact. So just start and watch that belief just automatically come to you, because it will, and you'll be very happy. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. So like, know that everybody doesn't feel, fully confident. Everybody has that doubt. Everyone's doing it scared with doubt in themselves. They might not be showing it, but everybody has those thoughts. And so don't wait for it to happen, is what I heard you kind of saying. Like, don't wait for that moment where you know 100% and you've got 100% of belief, because if you're waiting for it, there'll always be another part of doubt that you'll uncover that you still have got. So you'll be waiting a long time.
Absolutely. It's all roadblocks that we create in our minds, but they're not really there. I guess financial roadblocks are probably the only thing that people can genuinely say, well, I don't have the money. But that's why you can now, it's 2024, the internet's practically free. You can start something. You can actually just start something without investing probably more than $50 a month max, if that, so it's possible. You just
look back at when everything started and I was like, yep, didn't need to do that. Don't think that you need to start off like a fully fledged company that you're working at with all the stuff that they have. You do not need 99% of it. Just begin.
Absolutely.
Maybe you don't even know what it is. Just start.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. No, I'm so glad you brought that up, because specifically me being what I am, everyone comes to me and goes, oh, I need a logo, I need a thing, they go spout everything. I'm like, okay, where are you at in your business? Like, are you just starting? Like, what is it that you need done versus what you want done? Because then they turn around and go, okay, I don't know if I could afford. I'm like, well, there's more important things that you could be putting your money towards, and I'm okay. I can push you to get a sale out of you, but at the end of the day, I want you for the long term. I want you to be my client, and I want us to be more partners than anything. And I always tell women, number one, start your social media yesterday. You got a brand idea, start it yesterday, right? Because that number one takes a lot longer to grow. Number two, you could just get your friends and family to like things for now and follow you. You don't even have to have your brand name set in stone, and just start, let the algorithm start to put you in a place. Then you can work on the name, and then you can literally write something in Photoshop, in not even Photoshop, Canva now makes it super easy. And then when you're actually ready and you've got some income and this is a successful idea, then you can come to me and we could do all your branding. It'll be so great. But don't put yourself so further already in debt before you even start to see any change, know?
Totally.
Yeah.
I so agree. It's like, and it's so interesting looking back, because I would do things totally differently today than what I did in my first business in 2010, and then another one in 2017. But, there's so many things that you think you need to be a legit business or a professional looking business. And but I'm going to be professional, so I need to look professional. Yeah, but there are things that are worth putting some money into, and there are things that are totally not, and no one's buying from you. I'm going to say, even though you do beautiful branding design, your logo's not selling things for you. It's part of the whole thing. And yes, you'll have one and it'll be great and it'll be the right thing for you, but don't worry about that on day one, because no one's buying from you because of your logo.
Absolutely.
Figure out what it is that you need to do. What's your message? Who are you talking to? All of that is so much more important. And then the brand helps tie it all together. But you actually need that clarity first before you get a good brand.
100%. Absolutely agree.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Jasmine. This has been such a great discovery into your story, your journey, how things have changed. So interesting. Don't you always love to hear
people's stories, and you know, you can hear a lot of them and you're never going to hear two that are the same. So
Yep,
I love
exactly.
that. No, you've shared so much really openly and genuinely, and I think it's been just such a pleasure having a chat. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's absolutely been so much fun. I was a lot less nervous than I thought I would be, but that's all thanks to you, to be honest. Like, you've got a great smile, and like, you just, I don't know, you do a great job at this.
That's very kind. Now, if anyone wants to connect with you online, on your socials, where do you generally hang out?
So it's reworded.com.au, or on Instagram, it's at reworded.au. But yes, it's very easy to get in touch with me. You can call me, you can email me, you can do whatever you like. I'm here for it. But yes, I check all the channels, so find me wherever you want to.
Beautiful. Well, we will hook all that up in the show notes, so you can dive in and find Jasmine wherever you prefer to hang out, and she sounds like she's there. So thank you, Jasmine. And it's been really a pleasure. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. You have yourself a lovely rest of the day. And I'll try to as well.
Yeah, school pickup time very, very soon.
Okay. Fair enough.
Isn't it just so frustrating when you know that out there are so many people that actually need your help, and there's many actively looking for somebody just like you, yet all you seem to attract are the odd eye kicker or really uncommitted client that's kind of dabbling, and they don't light you up. They really don't get great results. And you're thinking, what does it actually take to attract clients who are committed, who are happy to pay proper prices for what it is that I do, and that I can help to have really great results? What is it going to take? Well, it's not in the activity of what you're doing. Here's the thing. It's usually something else that's a bit deeper. And I'm sharing with you what that is in my training. It's called 5 Ps to Premium Paying Clients. And I'm going to share with you what are these 5 things that you need to have in your strategy so that no matter what tactic or activity you choose to do, it actually works. Like, it works. You attract the right clients, the ones who are ready to work with you, the ones who are ready to pay and sign up. So get yourself over to my website now on jessicaosborne.com/TMF, register for this free class, and let's dive right in. So once again, that's jessicaosborne.com/TMF, and the link is below in the show notes as well. I encourage you to register now, allocate just over an hour of your time, maybe up to an hour and a half, so you can take some notes and really reflect on the things that I share with you in this class. And let's change your year this year. Let's make your business actually turn into your dream business together.